Update: am I the a-hole for accidentally telling my fiancé I hate his sister and she won't be part of my wedding? Original post: I, 26 female, have been with my fiancé Chris, 26 male, for 4 years now. He and his sister, 21 female Lilac, are very close. They had a pretty traumatic childhood and always promised each other to be there no matter what. Lilac is a good sister to him, but as a person, truthfully, I can't stand her. She is literally the textbook definition of a bubbly blonde. She's overly charismatic, always giggling, and in general just acts too immature for my taste. She likes to pull pranks every once in a while on my fiancé, and he gets her back, but the whole ordeal just seems childish and obnoxious to me. Ever since we got engaged, I knew I didn't want her in my wedding party because that means I'd have to spend time with her at my bachelorette and other parties. Fast forward to last night, and my fiancé asks me when I plan on asking Lilac to be a bridesmaid. I got quiet and truthfully said I didn't plan on doing so. This upset him because he wants his sister to be a part of the most important day of his life, and that if I didn't do it, he was going to make her a groomswoman to make sure she is included. I can't lie, this sets me off. I went off about how I want to feel respected by him and be able to enjoy my wedding day. He said he also wants to enjoy his day, which to be fair, I understand. This is where I may be the a-hole. I told him that I have always disliked his sister and wished he would just not include her for once on a day that isn't even about her. He got quiet and went into our guest room to be alone. A couple of minutes later, I got a text from Lilac that she completely respects my decision to not want her in the wedding party, but she's hurt to know what I actually feel about her. I didn't want her to find out at all, and now he's told his whole family about our argument. Half of them are attacking me and half of them are saying it's my day, so I should be able to enjoy it. Honestly, this whole ordeal is stressful for no reason because Lilac isn't even upset. I don't want her in my wedding party, yet the whole family is upset and my fiancé has been very short with me all day. Am I the a-hole? Edit: just because I hate her personality doesn't mean I'm mean to her. Being around her drains my social battery, but I have never been mean to her, nor did I want her to find out ever, especially in this way. I'm just super introverted and our personalities collide. I don't want her at my bachelorette party because I want to enjoy it fully and not feel anxious the whole time because the personification of a human firecracker is attending. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. You're the a-hole. I didn't want her at my wedding party because that means I'd have to spend time with her at my bachelorette and other parties. Boy, do I have some bad news about what's going to happen if you actually marry her brother and legally bind yourself to him and his family for the foreseeable future. To be clear, you're free to not want her in your wedding party, but if she's going to be your sister-in-law, you might have to get over your distaste of blondes who've, checked list, been bubbly and happy. Don't worry, she may be able to avoid Lilac permanently. The fiancé is rethinking this wedding as we speak. We can only hope Opie is correct, and our fiancé sees this post despite the anonymous accounts and changed names. He needs to understand just how toxic Opie's behavior is, so he'll finally call off the engagement and break up with her. I agree. While it is okay not to like someone in your partner's family if there's a good reason for it. My mom doesn't like her sister-in-law because it always has to be about her. My sister's wedding? My grandma tried to convince my sister to do something special for my aunt so she doesn't feel left out. Opie literally has no reason to not like her. It seems like Lilac is genuinely a good person, and knowing that Opie doesn't like her probably really hurt her. Just because someone is always in a good mood doesn't mean you should hate them. This is like insanely toxic behavior. Also, I would like to point out that just because she acts all bubbly and cheery doesn't mean that she actually is all the time. Opie mentioned a traumatic childhood. This might be sister-in-law's coping mechanism. Even if it wasn't, being annoyed at someone else's positive outlook is a you problem. Opie also mentioned that sister-in-law seemed okay with all this, but I really don't think she is. And that's a testament to her love and devotion to her brother, unlike Opie who only cares about herself. You're the a-hole. So, she's happy and enjoying life, and this bothers you? Might want to do some inward reflections there, bud. You're the a-hole. It's your fiancé's wedding too. It's not all about you. Now for the first update. I am probably going to make this my only update for a while, if not ever. We talked this morning. Sorry for not posting it earlier. My Wi-Fi company has been having some issues. We are still not resolved. He doesn't just want her as a groomswoman, but wants to ask her to be the best woman. Best man, but as a woman. This is still not resolved because I'm not comfortable with that. And it's more stressful because the whole family has turned into flying monkeys. Because his sister is the apple of their eyes, so they took what I said as a serious attack against her. Second update. He called me about 2 hours ago. He is currently staying at Lilac's and asked if we could talk. I obliged, and it was a very difficult talk to say the least. I asked him to come home, and he rejected. Firstly, he apologized for telling his family and said it was a rash mistake he made in the heat of the moment. Then he said that if I wasn't willing to have her as a bridesmaid, that it is unfair of me to ask him to not have her as his best woman, and that he is not willing to compromise his sister's role in our wedding. This made me cry and tell him that I am tired of feeling second place next to another woman, and that I was going to be his wife, so I wanted to feel like he had my back when I needed him. This really upset him, and he said that as Lilac's big brother, he is also supposed to have her back when she needs him. And she needs him now when the supposed love of his life is blindsiding him with hurtful information about her. He told me that it was true. He does put Lilac first in some situations, and he won't stop because he raised her. He said it's not fair of me to ask to always be number one. She is like his daughter. He said that he is willing to go to couples counseling, but first I need to apologize to Lilac for what I said, and stop griping over the fact he wants her as his best woman. The call was filled with lots of tears, and we finally decided to give it a rest and talk tomorrow so that we could both process what was going on. Now for the third and final update. So it's been a week and I feel like it might be okay to do an update now. Just to not waste anyone's time? Yes, me and Chris are no longer together. After our initial fight, he decided to stay with his sister, and through that, Lilac ended up reaching out to me and apologizing for ruining our relationship and her family hounding me for what I said. She invited me out for brunch the following day so we could talk things over, and it went well. The conversation was very long, so I just want to include important points. I apologized to her for taking out my feelings on her, because he is the one who allows her to disrespect our relationship. And she apologized for not coming directly to me to make sure I wasn't uncomfortable about anything that she was doing. I also said that while what I said was true, it was harsh, and I never wanted her to know how I felt. She told me I had nothing to apologize for and that she wasn't expecting me to like her. Just be kind to her. She also told me that if the wedding did continue, she would stay out of both bride/groom sides out of respect for my wishes. Now on to that. Yes, as I said in the beginning, Chris and I are no longer a couple. He stayed with Lilac for most of the week and invited me out for dinner the other night. During dinner, I offered the prospect of postponing the wedding and seeking couples counseling. Firstly, he apologized for running off to his family during our argument. But he denied couples counseling and said that while he will continue therapy to fix his trauma bond with his sister, it was not something he wanted to do with me. He said that even if he does completely heal himself, that he wants someone in his life who loves his family, specifically his sister as much as he does. He said he truly loves me, but that we are not the best match for each other. He told me I was more than welcome to keep the ring, and because our current home is under his name, he told me that he would give me 2 months to move out and would be happy to extend it if I was having a hard time. This obviously hurt a lot, so I've spent a lot of my time trying to heal and find an apartment. So yeah, that's the update. Other than having a personality Opie doesn't click with, and the ex being a worrywart, I don't see Lilac having done anything wrong. Certainly nothing to apologize for. If anything, it sounds like Lilac was trying to accommodate Opie while bending over backwards. She sounds like a people pleaser, which likely comes from the trauma she had suffered as a kid. Lilac also sounded way more mature than what Opie ever described her as. I wonder if it was just simple resentment for the fact Lilac was such a big part of the fiancé's life from having to basically help raise her as a teenager/young adult that Opie just amplified any small things in her head. At least Opie doesn't seem to be hating on Lilac all that much here, and is starting to realize where she may have been mistaken. He is the one who allows her to disrespect our relationship. Sounds like she blames both of them. I just don't see how she is disrespecting her brother's relationship. It's all very odd. I think these comments help explain that it's not just his sister. Opie also dislikes his extroverted friends and how her ex liked to spend his weekends. They're just incompatible. Question? To save your relationship, you need to get over your jealousy of his sister. You know that because of their childhood there's baggage there. Has his relationship with his sister caused him to neglect you? You said when she needs something, he's always there for her. Is this causing him to bail on you? Her answer? He has never bailed on me during important moments for her. But if he has a choice between staying in on a Saturday night with me or going out with her and his friends, he chooses the latter. Question: You sound jealous of her. Answer: I don't understand why this point keeps being brought up. Yes, his sister is probably one of the prettiest people I've ever met, but I'm not jealous. He has friends who are unattractive and I dislike them equally because they have similar personalities to her. My best very forgiving guess here is this. Opie doesn't see her negative feelings as jealousy. From the way she worded the last comment, she doesn't see jealousy as a feeling that can be applied to anything other than physical looks. She can't accept that those negative feelings have an ugly name, because she doesn't view her selfishness as wrong. I'm not as forgiving as you are. Opie sounds like a terrible person who thinks being introverted or a homebody is who you are as a person. It absolutely is not. She is jealous, resentful, and extremely selfish. Even the way she's wording things. She's not saying, I'm sorry for saying those terrible things about you, to Lilac. She's saying, I never wanted you to find out. Gross. I'm glad Chris figured this out before getting married. People like Opie don't change at all or evolve as people often. Edit: Just read some of the removed posts. Holy cannoli. Opie's a garbage human being. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not showing up to my own engagement after finding out my boyfriend was planning to propose? I, 28 female, have known for a while that boyfriend 38 male was going to propose. We've been talking about marriage, rings, etc. for a while. I didn't know the when or where, but I thought I knew the how. This is because I've made it clear that I would absolutely hate a public proposal. The very idea gives me hives and makes me queasy with anxiety. It's a personal preference/comfort zone thing and not an opinion on other people's proposals. There have been a few times when I thought he was going to ask, but I was wrong each time. Wasn't too disappointed because I knew it would come eventually. The night of the conflict was my birthday last week. We were going out to celebrate and he'd even given me my gift early to wear to dinner, since it was the first time we'd be going out for my birthday since pre-COVID. We were meant to meet at a restaurant, but my dad called before I left, asking if our big announcement tonight was baby-related, and if so, he'd like to congratulate me in advance in case he didn't make it due to a travel delay. A few minutes into the call, I put two and two together and immediately called my best friend who reluctantly confirmed my fears. She hadn't wanted to spoil boyfriend's surprise, but she also tried her best to convince him to scale it down because she knew I wouldn't like what he'd planned. At this point, I was very late and my boyfriend had been texting, saying that I was going to make us lose our reservation. I called him and asked directly if he was planning a public proposal. He couldn't deny it, and after he told me he'd reserved the entire restaurant for 75 people, I told him that this wasn't what I wanted, and that I'd be happy to attend, but only if he promised not to do it in front of everyone there. He said he'd told some people and that word got around, and they were now expecting a proposal, so he was going to do it. Otherwise, we would have wasted everyone's time and money coordinating and getting them down there. I said that if he insisted on doing this in a way which made me uncomfortable, I wouldn't be coming at all. I hung up at that point and stopped answering because I was hurt. He's livid and we've been fighting all week because I embarrassed him in front of our friends and family by not showing up. He says I'm making a big deal of it when we both know I would have said yes, and that I'm being ungrateful because any other woman would kill for a boyfriend who would go through the trouble to make a grand gesture. While I agree that I had every intention of saying yes when I knew it was coming, I don't like being put on the spot or being made to feel obligated to say yes because of an audience. He said he won't consider proposing again until I apologize for embarrassing him and promise to chill out about my preferences in the future. I don't feel like I should, because he knew I would have preferred something more intimate and romantic. Now for the top comments. Your boyfriend is the a-hole. He knows you aren't comfortable with this but decides to do it anyway because it makes him look good. Instead of treating you like your own person, he decides that you are just a part of the perfect proposal that could be to anyone. Not gonna lie, if this happened to me, I'd go, wait for it, say no and leave. I hate being put in the center of attention, but I'm also really petty. And if you do it to me, I'll make you regret it. Now that's the level of pettiness I wish to aspire to. I'm similarly distasteful of being the center of attention, and if a future partner ever proposed to me in front of a crowd like that, it would be a neon sign pointing to just how little they actually knew me. Red flags. You were not the a-hole, and honestly, you should seriously consider using this as an opportunity to rethink this relationship. There's already a significant age difference, but the fact that he went out of his way to ignore your feelings and discomfort should be alarming you right now. And on top of that, he's mad at you for not humiliating yourself for his stupid pride? Nah, this is just a sample of what life would be like married to him. Once that certificate gets signed, he will start imposing his will on you even more and will continue to ignore your distress. He knew this would be distressing and physically hurt you, but he did it anyway, and he was only considering his own feelings. If he really loved you, he would have proposed in a manner that would be comfortable and enjoyable for you. Then you could have had an engagement party later to celebrate with friends and family. But no, he wanted it his way regardless of the harm it would cause to you. You should seriously think about that. Second this, he knows your priorities and deliberately crossed this boundary, even contacting your family behind your back. Then he blamed you for embarrassing him and he demanded an apology. These are serious red flags. Best to rethink this relationship. You're probably seeing his real self for the first time. The typical jerk pattern is to be on their best behavior when a relationship starts, then cross boundaries and double down after they think they've got a commitment. And on top of demanding an apology for his mess, he has the nerve to add and promise to chill out about your preference in the future? Excuse me, what? Yeah, that's just a big no.